Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning it's a real pleasure to review again the new edition of a work from TOLLEY'S. This is part of LexisNexis. It's this book here we will look at in a moment. TOLLEY'S VAT Cases 2014. It's very much, as you would expect, a follow-on from the earlier versions of the work. You can see what it looks like here. That's the front, there's the spine, and there's the back. Look at the book first of all. You'll see it's very, very big. It's got a lot of pages in it now. We're running to something approaching over 2,000 pages. Very detailed index, which I just showed at the back. There's a paperback, but it's heavy. You've got a lot of paragraph numbering there to find things with specific case. So each paragraph number basically has a case. So you've got the facts and then the case after it. And there are some real beauties in this. And of course it's done on the basis of splitting the book up into various parts. So if I show you at the beginning, I'll mention the authors in a minute. There's the front bit of it. Do always, with these TOLLEY'S books, read the about this book bit from LexisNexis, because it sets out how you navigate this book. This is in the 29th edition, this one, so it's been around a long time. You've got the contents there, and you see how it's split up into, starting alphabetically, agents, appeals and so on, then it runs through to right at the end things like trade unions, transport and so on. So it's an A to Z. Then you've got things like a glossary of old phrases, which is very useful. And then you've got, of course, massive statutes, cases, huge number of cases. Then eventually you get into the detail itself. And the detail is really quite important because it actually has the cases themselves and a whole series of important points. And in fact, because it's A to Z, it starts with appeals quite quickly, which is rather useful. As I said, it's a very heavy book, and there have been some very nice comments about it which are made on the back. You can see that there. Now the book has been written by a number of people. It's got a subheading. It's a comprehensive digest of reported value-added tax decisions relevant to current legislation from 1973 to the 1st of January 2014. Of course, 1973 being the date when we got VAT. It's the 29th edition. It's been written by three people: Alan Dolton, Rhianon Davies and David Rudling. And it's always, as I say, a pleasure to read these TOLLEY LexisNexis books, because while they look formidably boring, they are actually quite interesting in themselves, because there's some real gems and nuggets of humour if you can find them. More of that in a minute. The title we've given this is Concise Summaries, Cross-Reference to Statute Law from over 4,000 court and tribunal authorities since 1973. And it's been written by myself and my wife Elizabeth, who's my practice manager. So this is what we say. Now in its 29th edition from LexisNexis, TOLLEY'S, this book is highly regarded as a comprehensive and reliable reference to VAT case law. It's been described as the Bible of the UK VAT industry by the Times, and one can't help but agree. It's also worth mentioning the comment attributed to VAT intelligence, to wit, even those practitioners who subscribe to VAT tribunal decisions will find the indexing system in this book far easier to use than the official index to the VAT tribunal decisions. I'm afraid I have to agree with them. You've been advised, and wisely so. Because at the end of the day, what is the purpose? The purpose is to try and find what you're looking for with a minimum amount of hassle. And actually this is once you've got used to it, and it's quite easy because it's a very much of a structure which TOLLEY and LexisNexis provide. So you know what you're looking at. Once you get familiarised with it, it's very easy to use and actually a boon. As the subtitle clearly indicates, this is a digest of VAT decisions dating from 1973, when VAT was first introduced in the UK, and it covers up to the present day, which is, for our purposes, 1st of January 2014, and I'm recording this just after midsummer on in 2014. It's got postscripts pertaining to later decisions as well, which have been added where possible and where relevant, because the law is always sort of moving forward. That's the beauty of the common law and precedent. This latest edition contains 4,000 VAT cases, including all public court and tribunal decisions relevant to current VAT legislation. And as you're no doubt aware, this edition is the companion volume of TOLLEY'S tax cases, which we've also reviewed, which is also published as well annually, and similarly contains important new material, including summaries of all significant 2013 court and tribunal decisions relevant to current VAT legislation. In addition, the introductory survey discusses the leading decisions reached in 2013, and that's quite good if you're trying to get an overview of the subject. The two TOLLEY'S volumes, therefore, are similarly structured as well, as I've indicated with the other review we did, and for practitioners under pressure it's easy to navigate. Both volumes feature numbered paragraphs, as I've indicated, and provide the reader with 3 ways of obtaining the information required. The detailed contents list, which is at the front, as well as the contents list which head the longer chapters. Then you've got extensive tables of cases and the extensive general subject index at the back, which again is very useful. I've always thought that Lexis come up with some pretty good indexing. It's a hard task, but it's a good one that they come up with. So even a cursory glance at the contents list indicates the enormous scope of the book. 2,000 pages, 69 chapters, it deals with every conceivable VAT matter. The categories, which are listed alphabetically as I've indicated, are too numerous and varied to enumerate here, but do include running from agents and appeals, assessment, bad debts and buildings and land, right through to transport valuation and zero rating, which is at the back. And researchers delving further into the implications of VAT will also appreciate the extensive tables of cases, statutes, SIs and directives. There's also a list of abbreviations and references for those befuddled by arcane terms, and that's why I think as I mentioned, a bit of humour, do have a look at the glossary of Latin and Old French phrases. Very interesting. Tax specialists, as well as anybody involved in VAT, will find that purchasing this book, and ideally its companion, TOLLEY'S tax cases, will make everyday professional life a whole lot easier. And it's always been a bit amusing to think, well, there's never going to be anything funny about VAT cases, but when you look at some of the excuses, we get it with the main tax cases as well, where they have had problems and they come up with the reasons why they haven't been able to do something on time. It puts to shame all those clients we've had in the courts who come up with monstrous rubbish as the reason they haven't met a timetable. But it puts these people, put all of that lot in the shade, because it really is a tremendous amount of variety of excuse. So do have a look at it, especially if you want a good laugh. Anyway, thank you to the 3 authors and to LexisNexis Tolley for the new edition, which has been a pleasure to review. Thank you, bye-bye.